Hello, and welcome to the channel. The following footage has been brought to you in part by the Elgato HD60 capture device. I am not sponsored by Elgato in any way, shape, or form. It's just recording. And I love the device anyway. So, let's get into what I want to talk to. What I want to talk about, I should say. So, in all this controversy surrounding both Destiny and Battlefront 2, I have come across something that is not really scary per se, but it does have some cause for alarm. So recently, a game released. In fact, it released a year ago, called No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky was an overpriced beta. It was priced at $60, and it shouldn't have been. It should have been priced at $30 or less, and it should have been in beta, specifically Steam Early Access, especially on PC. And it should have stayed like that until the current update, which is update I think 1.38 or 1.39, something along those lines. And essentially, it had a bunch of controversy surrounding it, and that was because Sean, the head developer, decided to go out and basically blabber on about how much stuff was in the game. Essentially, it led to a false advertising investigation by the UK Advertising Bureau, and so although they found that the game was not guilty of false advertising, they did order that any I think actually Steam did this, not necessarily the UK Advertising Bureau, but I think Steam actually said you got to have screenshots or trailers that are actually in game. And so that actually got a policies change because there was so much outrage about how there was like nothing in the game. It was just all emptiness, and there were optimization issues. There still are, but there were optimization issues in the game. Essentially, it's one gigantic beta, and all the features that we have now were delayed a year. And that brings me to my next point. Call of Duty World War II is delaying the emblem editor for the game. Every single other iteration of the exact same game, from Black Ops 3, which is the footage that you are seeing here, to World at War. I think that's how far it goes back, especially on PS3 and Xbox 360. And from World at War to now, Black Ops ending at Black Ops 3, there has been, as far as I know, no issue with the emblem editor. It has not been delayed at all in any of the other iterations of Call of Duty. No matter how much you hate it, the emblem editor has always been there, and it's being delayed from the launch of the game. Essentially, that means that whoever buys the fucking thing, the game, Call of Duty World War II, is paying for an incomplete piece of trash with microtransactions. Even if you like the game, they put microtransactions in ahead of the content that's supposed to be already in it. So, for example, if say, it's kind of like actually Advanced Warfare. I think actually Advanced Warfare did something similar with their zombies mode, but originally it wasn't supposed to be in there anyway. So I think I can let that slide. I don't really care. I bought the zombies mode because it wasn't supposed to be in there, even though there was outcry about it. That's a topic for a different day because I'm going off on a tangent. So, in comparing both No Man's Sky and Call of Duty World War II, No Man's Sky had a bigger controversy because there was an advertising blitz from both Sony and Hello Games, whereas Activision, Sledgehammer slash what is it now, Raven slash Treyarch slash Blizzard, you name it. The point is that it wasn't as publicized, and no one got outraged over the fact that they were delaying content that was supposed to be there in launch, and they had what 3 years in terms of development in order to get it in. I mean, they had plenty of time for the fucking microtransactions that they didn't even bother to complete the emblem editor. I mean, it's not an essential part of the gameplay, and so it doesn't affect progression, so people aren't as outraged about it. But I mean, if they're going to delay content, they might as well just make us. No, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to go back on that one. I was going to say make us pay for it because they already make us pay for loot boxes. So the point I'm trying to make is that there was plenty of outrage for No Man's Sky. Mainstream media covered it about how it was basically an incomplete game. I mean, you've got Total Biscuit covering it because it was incomplete, and then he walked some of it back because they are currently up because No Man's Sky is currently being updated, and so it makes sense to say, okay, the game is improving, but Call of Duty World War II was already supposed to have all the content that was supposed to have, regardless of microtransactions, regardless of quote unquote new DLC for maps and I don't know, gun skins. Although that's probably going to be in microtransactions too, now that I think about it. And so it makes you wonder. It makes you think. Why delay it? Are they going to include it with the season pass? And that's why they're delaying it? Because as far as I'm concerned, it should have been in there at launch. They had 3 years to include the fucking thing. Maybe I'm overthinking this. So maybe I'm going too deep into this, but as far as I'm concerned, No Man's Sky got all the outrage in the world, even though it was an indie game and even though they were low on budget. I can understand, delaying content for that, and Sean shouldn't have made the stupid decision to go out to the Colbert Report or whatever to, showcase the game and showcase content that's not even the fucking thing, not even in the fucking game. I mean, if you look at the trailers make the game look nicer than it actually is, which begs the question as to where is that content in the first place. Now, granted, they did add some new things like building bases, and they added new elements to the game and whatnot, and it's a better game overall ever since launch. And so I enjoyed the game for that. But Call of Duty World War II is kind of different, right? I mean, it's a AAA game, just like No Man's Sky had a AAA price, even though it's indie. There's a bit of a difference there, but it's a AAA price at $60. With taxes, $65, but that's aside from the point. DLC is probably $80. 80, $90. No, actually $110, because if it's a 50 DLC pass, 60 plus 50 is 110. Barring taxes, 115, $120, which is kind of ridiculous now that I think about it. I didn't buy the DLC. No, I'm going on a tangent. Let's get back to the subject at hand. So basically what I'm trying to say is where the hell is the outrage? I mean, I can understand, it's not part of progression, but, it's content that was supposed to be there. I'm surprised that they haven't announced that they're going to include with loot boxes yet. Because at that point, you just might as well do that. You're delaying content that's not... You've had plenty of time to put in. Unlike No Man's Sky, which had a budget of $5, Call of Duty World War II is a big-ass blockbuster and sells a bunch of games every single year. It's been doing that since the first COD. What the hell? Where's the content? Granted, it's a very small sliver, but it also begs the question as to whether or not Activision saw No Man's Sky and thought, oh, we can get away with whatever the hell we want. Just like they try to patent a way to get people to buy stuff that expert players had for novice players. They pair novice in the patent. They pair novice players with expert players in order to get the novice players to buy the stuff that the expert players have via microtransactions. And so there was a bunch of shit about that. And so they said, we don't put that patent in our game. Just like the bullshit with Destiny, for example. You know, XP scaling for public events. A bunch of bullshit. And then, of course, Battlefront 2 with that bullshit in EA. And then loot boxes being investigated by both the Hawaii State Congress, Australia, the EU, specifically Belgium. The UK is looking into it to see whether or not they're gambling, essentially. So I guess what I'm trying to say is we have to be careful. We have to hold Activision Blizzard. We have to hold EA to the fire. We have to hold every single company to the fire. Speaking of holding companies to the fire, CD Projekt Red recently announced that they wanted to have their, I think, was it Cyberpunk 2077 or whatever it was called, to have a quote-unquote online element. And so people interpreted that as having microtransactions, just like all the Call of Duty games that have it, EA's Battlefront 2 that has it. And so they actually walked back the comment and they were going to quote-unquote leave read to others. But that was only after the backlash from the comment in an interview that they did. I forget the name. I don't know if it was Kotaku or something along those lines. And so major game developers / publishers are walking a thin line at the moment. Now, people are going to forget. Just like Jim Sterling says, people are going to forget. Toll Biscuit, people are going to forget. Microtransactions are pay to win, specifically in Battlefront 2. Now, I'm trying to give light to that and show that it needs to, we need to remember it all. Remember that EA, they always try to fuck us over. They try to fuck us over again. And, Battlefront 2 being as popular as it is, and all the outrage around their freaking comments about how it was the most downvoted comment in Reddit history. It just goes to show that if you push players enough, gamers enough, that will pressure companies to do anything. Oh, and EA's stock price went down as a result of the backlash for Battlefront 2. So, we got the attention of Wall Street. And now we just got to keep the pressure on. And we can't stop. So I guess I'll end it with this. Remember to rate, comment, favorite, and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time. This is Blaze, and I am your host. So I will see you later.